This is Mr. Alexander, and today I want to talk about box and whisker plots and measures of dispersion. Let's talk about box and whisker plots first. So I've got a box and whisker plot here. We're given a test out of 40 marks. There's 56 students, and the teacher used the following box and whisker plot to represent the marks of the students. So we've got a box and whisker diagram here, and we're supposed to write down the median. The median's going to be right here at 30. The 75th percentile, that's always Q3, which is the right edge of the box. That's going to be at 32. And then the range is always the maximum minus the minimum. So 38 minus 10 equals 28. To estimate the number of students who achieved a mark greater than 32, so that's asking how many students achieved a mark after Q3. And what you need to remember is that 25% of the data falls after quartile 3. So I'm going to write that as a decimal, 25%, 0.25, and I'm going to multiply that by the number of students, which is 56. And so that's going to be 14 students achieved a mark greater than 32, approximately. Let's talk about another box and whisker plot here. This one is the daily rainfall for the town of St. Anna is collected over a 20-day period of time. The collected data are represented in the box and whisker plot below. So we're supposed to write down the lowest, which is 6 millimeters, the highest, which is 20 millimeters, and state what the value of 12 millimeters represents on the given diagram. Well, that's just your median. That line right down the middle of the box, that's your median. Find the interquartile range, that's Q3 minus Q1. Q3, quartile 3, is at 14 millimeters. Subtract off Q1, which is just about at 9 millimeters. That gives us a range of 5 millimeters. Write down the percentage of data which is less than the upper quartile. So the percentage of data from Q3 all the way to the edge there. Well, this is 25%. This is 25%, and this is 25%. When you add those all up, that's 75% of the data that is less than quartile 3. And that's, in essence, all you need to know about box and whisker plots. Let's talk about measures of dispersion next. So, for instance, we've got a table here. And we know the weights of 90 students in a school were recorded. The information is displayed in the following table. Write down the mid-interval value for the interval 50 is less than or equal to W is less than 60. Well, the mid-interval value is just the average of those two numbers. That's 55, and that'd be kilograms. Use your graphic display calculator to find an estimate for the mean and the standard deviation. So here's how we're going to find the mean and the standard deviation. You go Stat, Edit, clear out the lists if there's anything in there. Type in the mid-interval values into list 1. So 45, 55, 65, and 75. And then the list 2, this is number of students. That's frequency data. I'm going to type in those frequencies in the list 2. 7, 28, 35, and 20. The calculator can calculate the mean and standard deviation for frequency data pretty easily. Stat, calc 1. List 1 is L1. And make sure this frequency list is L2 because we had frequency data. If it was raw data, we'd want to keep that frequency list empty. And when we calculate, it's going to spit out two things for us. Right here, X bar, that's your mean, which is about 62.6. I'm just going to write that down. 62.6 kilograms. And the standard deviation, you're always going to refer to this sigma x in math studies. To 3 significant figures, that's 8.86 kilograms. So now we're supposed to find the weight that is 3 standard deviations below the mean. So we're going to take our mean of 62.6 and we're going to subtract off the standard deviation. But that's just one standard deviation. To get 3, we're going to multiply it by 3. So 62.6 minus 3 times 8.86 that value is 36.0 kilograms to 3 significant figures. Okay. I'm going to do one more. 8 houses in a street are inhabited by different numbers of people, as shown in the table below. House A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. And we got 5, 4, 7, 6, 4, 3, 6, 4. For the following statements, refer to the number of inhabitants per house. Write down true or false. That gives us the mean, the range, the mode, and the standard deviation. We can do one of these 4 without the calculator. We can figure out what the mode is. The mode is the one that occurs most frequently. I see 2 6s and 1, 2, 3, 4. So the mode isn't 6, the mode is 4. So that's a false. So let's do the rest here. I'm going to go stat, edit. I'm going to clear out my lists. And we don't have frequency data here. We just have raw data. I'm going to type in these numbers in list 1. 5, 4, 7, 6, 4, 3, 6, 4. And from that, I'm going to go stat calc 1. We don't have frequency data, so we want to clear out that frequency list. And we want to calculate. The mean is 4.875. It is not 5. That's a false. The range is the highest minus the lowest. So 7 minus 3, that's 4. The range is 4. That's true. And the standard deviation is 1.4. Correct to 2 significant figures. Well, that one's false because it's 1.2. I'm sorry, 1.3 to 2 significant figures. So that one's a false. Calculate the interquartile range. That's just Q3 minus Q1. And so that'd be 6 minus 4, which equals 2. And that's about it. That's how you calculate the mean and standard deviation. So I've got time to do 1 or 2 more. So I'm just going to maybe do one of these that I didn't do before for standard deviation here. So I'm looking at this one right here. We've got a table that shows frequency data. We're supposed to find Q. Well, remember that there's 25 children, so I just need to subtract all these numbers away from 25. 25 minus 4 minus 3 minus 8 minus 4 minus 1. That's going to be 5. So the value of Q must be 5. 5. We're supposed to find the mean, the median, and the standard deviation. So that's still stat edit. Clear out this list here. 4, 3, 8, 5, 4, 1. And to calculate the mean, the median, and standard deviation is just stat calc 1. It is frequency data now. We had, oops. I put the frequencies in list 1. I'm supposed to put them in list 2. 5, 4, 1. And these are supposed to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now that I've got the frequency data in there, I can do stat calc 1. Frequency list is now L2. Calculate the mean of 2.2, standard deviation of 1.39, and the median of 2. So that's the last of IB Subtopics 2.4 and all of IB Subtopic 2.6. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.